In this video, I will be talking about the new features in Civil 3D 2026. I'll talk about surfaces, model viewer, and drainage analysis. I have a surface here and a polyline, and I have created a data shortcut for it already. And I want to show you that, and you now have the possibility to partially reference the surface. I have this option here. I can select the polyline or draw it at this point, and it will only import a part of the surface inside the polyline. You can then modify that boundary. You can select it and modify that polyline, and it will update it. I can delete the boundary, and the full surface will show again, and I can add a boundary again. At this point, if I press enter, it will allow me to draw the polyline at this point. And it will use that boundary instead, and it has now created a polyline for it. You can publish that surface to Autodesk Docs, that partial surface, and you can also export it to land XML. Model Viewer is an improved way to view the model in 3D. It's much more responsive and stable than Object Viewer, and it also has some added functionality. I will start by selecting that corridor, and I have an option now to add it to Model Viewer. I'm going to open a separate window. That is a modeless window, meaning that I can keep it open and come back to the model and make some changes there. I can interact with the model. I can navigate in the usual way in Model Viewer. For corridors in particular, we have some settings. If we want to show feature lines, show sections, or what's called render surfaces, which look like corridor solid, but I don't have solids in this drawing. It's the way it displays the corridor, so it's much better than Object Viewer. Then it's still an option. It's still there. If I want to add some additional objects, I can always do it. I have this option to add objects. Let's say I pick the surface. And it's going to add the surface as well. You can pick different visual styles, wireframe, and so on. I'm really shaded. I'm going to add some more objects. Let me add everything else. All enter. And I have now all the objects. In Model Viewer, I can see here some feature lines. You can control the visibility of those objects. We have a block here, I can turn off. We have a pipe network that we can see there. We have some surfaces. I'm going to turn those off. And for corridors, If you have multiple baselines, multiple regions, you can control the visibility of those independently as well. You can set a view of the model and save it as an image. This option here, like a screenshot. If I'm looking at the model and I want to zoom into a particular area, and select here and zoom into that pipe in model viewer, and it will look at that pipe. I can also do it the other way around. I can set a view in object viewer and match that view in the model. Or I can set it to plan view and it will still work. Because it's a modeless dialog and I can interact with the model, any changes that I make in the model will be reflected in object viewer, in model viewer, sorry. So if I look at that pipe, which is this one here, and I move that structure, you can see that updating in model viewer as well. We'll have a look at the drainage analysis tools now. We have a pipe network here with some pipes and structures and some catchments that are connected to those structures. We now have the option to add some stormwater controls. We have a pond and an underground storage, and we have a channel object as well, and some analysis tools that we'll have a look at as well. I'm going to start with the pond. You have them here in the ribbon as well. You can create it by sketching it or from an object. I'm going to do it from an object, or I'll do the underground storage from an object. I'll drop the pond directly in the drawing. I can pick a depth, let's say 1.5, a slope, if I want to specify the elevation on top or at the bottom, let's say 27. I can add a freeboard and a layer, and then I'm going to draw it over here. Close that, and we can see that pond here in the 3D view as well. You may have noticed when I was creating the pond, I had this tech preview. This is something that applies to everything I'll show here, all those objects and the drains analysis. It's in progress. It's like a beta, if you want. You can think about it that way. So it's not fully a feature that has been added, but you can access the functionality and provide feedback if you want to, and it will soon become part of Civil 3D as the other features. Okay, so we created that pond. We can now modify it with the grips. We have this one to move it around, this one to modify the elevation, so you can raise it or lower it. Okay, and look at that pond. It's roughly at the level of the surface. I'm going to leave it here, but if I wanted to change that, I can simply go here to elevation, type the elevation, or offset and type an elevation difference. I can move the vertices. I get some options to add a curve, so that will add a curve on this particular vertex, and then you can move it around. You can also move from the center, add a new vertex, 1 to 2. If you want to add a curve on all vertices at the same time, you have this option to add curves as well. If I pick that, specify a radius, and then it will add it to all the vertices and in the offset, so you have the top and the bottom there. I can access the properties for the pond. I go to the storage. You can modify the elevation, or you can add additional intermediate elevations. So if I add another one, let's say at 1 meter depth, and let's say that I want 1 and 5. And then a 1 and 3. I can apply that. I will have that intermediate line. We can see it in the 3D as well, 1 and 5, and then 1 and 3. I can control the style as well. So you can see there's at the moment there's a red line for the top, green at the bottom, yellow intermediate. You can control the visibility. Let's say I don't want to show the intermediate, and it will disappear. So you have that capability as well. You can extract feature lines from that pond. I have this tool here. I can pick the style, the layer, and if you create a dynamic link to the pond, let's see the feature line there. If I make a change to the pond, let's say that I'm going to move this here, the feature lines will keep the link to the pond. We have the underground storage as well. That's similar to the pond. You can create it from scratch or create it from an object. I have a polyline here, and I'm going to convert that to an underground storage, so you can use that for, let's say, a soakaway or porous pavement. There may be more additional objects in the future, but at the moment we have this generic underground storage. If we do it from an object, I can select that polyline. I can pick the depth, the elevation, let's say 26 for instance. Let's see where that is. Click OK. And we can see it there, and I can select it. Similar grips, you can move around. You don't have the option to add an arc at the moment in the corners, or we can change the elevation or an offset. Let's say an offset of 1 meter, and I'm raising it 1 meter up, so similar to the pond. And we can add a channel as well from a feature line. We have a feature line here. Create channel. We can pick the feature line. Feature line 1 is that one. And it will create that channel. see it in the 3D view as well. I can access the style of the channel. The baseline is the center line. At the moment we see the feature line. If I turn it on, you can see the baseline of the channel, then longitudinal lines in cyan. You can turn them on and off, control the visibility. Okay, I'll leave it as it was. Turn off the baseline so we can see the feature line. We also have some analysis tools, so I'm going to perform some analysis on that pond. And for that to happen, I'm going to first connect it with the rest of the network. We're going to add a pipe. I add a pipe in the usual way. Here to the pond. I'm going to hit the point there on pond. You want to make sure you see that icon as with the structures to make sure it connects. It's recognizing that pond object. And I'm going to add another pipe. That's going to be my outlet. So I'm going there. I'm going to make sure again I'm connecting to the pond. I'm going to add a head wall at the end. Okay, maybe I'll rotate it as well. Okay, so I have an inflow to the pond and an outflow. I'll select the pond. And from properties, we can define those inflows and outflows. We can see that it's recognizing the inflow from the pipe that I connected in and the pipe that I connected out. As an outlet, you can control the outlet type. At the moment we have those three types. I'm going to add an orifice. And then I can pick the elevation, invert elevation, let's say 27, diameter, and the coefficient of discharge. We can change the infiltration parameters. You can allow infiltration in the pond. You can allow it on the base, on the side, just the base, just on the side. Type the parameters there. Let's assume we just have through the outlet that okay, I'm going to pick that level 25.5 for the orifice. Let me change that. And then for the inflow, simply recognizing that pipe connecting. So with that, I should have everything I need. Let me go back to single viewport. And I can analyze the network. So if I go to the Analyze tab, we have Analyze Drainage System. I select the pond. It will select everything that's connected to the pond. You can then add the rainfall. We have some rainfall already here. The way you add the rainfall, so from the Rainfall Manager. And then you can create with that button different sets, and in those sets you can add different rainfall events. So we have, for instance, this one. If I open, the way you do it is by inputting the time and depth, or you can import from a CSV file that information. There may be some additional ways of creating the rainfall in the future. At the moment, this is the method that we have. And then once you have all the rainfall added, you can tick those boxes to use them in the analysis or not. So you may have some more listed and you don't want to analyze it with all of them at this time. Okay, so we have the rainfall generated. Drainage analysis uses cloud processing servers to analyze drainage systems. You can select the server from here, that's closer to you. Okay, from Great Britain. I run the analysis. You will validate the data first. If there are any warnings, it's going to show you those warnings at this point so you can fix any possible errors, and it will show you what's happening at each point. After the analysis runs, you will see the results. We can pick between the different rainfall events that we selected. You can see the result that we get, and then you can go to the catchments for the different rainfall events. For the connections, surcharged, okay. You can have flood as well here in the status. Again, you can pick the different events for the structures. And for the pond, you get the maximum depth. And just hits OK, so the pond is big enough in this case. Once you have the results, you can apply those results. You do that. If I now it open for a moment, I go for pipe structure, and I go to the properties. It will add those hydraulic properties from the results. Energy grade line, hydraulic grade line, and so on. That was my selection of new features in Civil 3D 2026. For a full list of features, you can visit our blog. I hope the video was useful. Thanks for watching.